So what happens when these huge sort of abstract government power plays crash right into daily life?
That's what we're diving into. We've got sources on some really aggressive executive actions, new recruitment tactics, and a new kind of digital wall.
And our mission here is to, rapidly unpack how these big institutional and tech strategies are shaping the start of 2026.
Exactly, because these are enormous geopolitical stories, but the real takeaway is the immediate friction it creates for, for
Yeah.
the average citizen.
Okay, let's start with a really surprising one right here at home. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, is planning to spend $100 million on something they're calling a wartime recruitment strategy.
100 million.
Yeah.
And this isn't just, putting up a few job postings.
Right.
It's a high-cost, hyper-targeted campaign. They're using online influencers and geo-targeted ads to recruit thousands of new deportation officers.
And they're targeting specific communities.
Very specific. The sources say they're aiming squarely at gun rights supporters and military enthusiasts. It just shows how they're using these non-traditional channels to get policy goals met, and fast.
So if that's the cost of strategy on the ground, let's look at the cost of executive power through the veto. We just saw President Trump issue two very political vetoes.
That's right.
First, he blocked the bipartisan finish the Arkansas Valley Conduit Act. This was a huge clean drinking water project for about 50,000 people in southeast Colorado.
And it was a unanimous bill.
Yeah.
Unanimous. The administration said it was about the budget, but what's fascinating is the political subtext here.
Okay, so what's the subtext?
Well, Representative Boebert immediately criticized it, and she suggested it was retaliation for her supporting that discharge petition to release the Jeffrey Epstein files.
Which is a pretty rare legislative move to begin with, right? To force a vote like that.
Absolutely is.
Yeah.
So the source material really suggests that this legislative pushback is what triggered the presidential response.
Wait, is there any credible evidence this wasn't just about saving money?
Well, that's where the second veto comes in. It seems even more overtly tied to politics. He blocked a land expansion for the Miccosukee tribe in Florida.
And the connection is?
The veto was explicitly tied to the tribe's opposition to the administration's immigration policies, specifically their fight against that Alligator Alcatraz detention facility in the Everglades.
Wow.
I mean, the official line was about standardizing land use, but our sources weigh the political retaliation angle much more heavily. It's about leveraging land rights to ensure compliance.
And that pattern doesn't stop at our borders. It's now basically defining foreign policy, what analysts are calling the Monroe Doctrine.
Right. This is a new, highly coercive, and frankly militarized approach to the Americas. The administration's goal is to deny non-hemispheric competitors. And that's really a code for China, the ability to control strategic assets in the region.
So how does that coercion actually work? I mean, how are they ensuring compliance?
It's about debt and asset control. For example, that $20 billion bailout for Argentina. Our sources suggest it wasn't altruistic. It was tied to making sure key energy contracts went to U.S. preferred companies.
And it's not just money, right?
No, we're also seeing open backing of specific candidates in elections, from Honduras all the way down to Chile. It's a clear effort to shape political outcomes across the entire hemisphere.
So that's centralized power being leveraged across physical borders. But what happens when that control targets the actual architecture of, the internet itself?
That brings us to Russia, which is trying to build a kind of digital iron curtain. They're moving from blacklisting, which is just blocking bad sites, to whitelisting.
So only approved sites get through, nothing else.
Exactly. Only sites deemed loyal or essential. The official story is that it's for security, to isolate the Russian internet from cyber attacks. But critics are already calling it the digital North Korea starter pack.
And I'm guessing it doesn't work perfectly.
It's broken by design, because it forces all traffic through one state-controlled choke point. Global services like Google notifications and Apple verification just stop working.
Even for approved Russian apps.
Even for them. They can't verify users or send notifications, which creates this absurd friction. People in Russia rely on these apps for everything, calling a taxi and freezing, Moscow, banking, everything.
I saw some social media posts mocking the government for suggesting people should just deliver New Year's greetings in person.
In a country with 11 time zones. In Nuttigat, 15-degree Celsius weather, yeah.
So what does this all mean then?
Well, across domestic water rights, foreign bailouts, digital access, we're seeing institutions prioritize their own power and impose very real, very tangible friction on citizens' lives.
Whether it's water in Colorado or calling a cab in Russia.
Exactly. And we often think the system will just correct itself, that it'll find its own balance.
But the deeper historical analysis here suggests institutions are not self-correcting. They have to be forced to change.
So a final thought for you to chew on. As you look at your own community or even your workplace, how do you spot those friction points where this system has prioritized its own power structure over its professed ideals?